Here in downtown Raleigh, state legislators say more than $200 million is needed in state funding to help hurricane victims or their homes will not be rebuilt.
And when we think of hurricane victims in our state, our minds go to Hurricane Helene, the storm that decimated Western Carolina last year. But this funding is to help victims of Hurricane Matthew in Florence many years ago.
Troubleshooter Diane Wilson has been investigating the state-run program called Rebuild NC for many years. She has more on this latest funding shortfall and also what it means for the recovery efforts in Western North Carolina.
Several state lawmakers very clear today, saying the Rebuild NC program is a complete failure. Now with the apparent need for $217 million. Several homeowners who are a part of the program and still waiting for help could be in jeopardy.
This has been one of the biggest shams on the North Carolina taxpayers that's ever taken place.
Rebuild NC under fire again.
It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse every time you come before us.
These remarks from North Carolina Republican lawmakers during a joint legislative committee hearing focused on disaster recovery and directed at Pryor Gibson, who oversees Rebuild NC, a state program that helps homeowners who lost their homes in hurricanes Florence and Matthew rebuild.
I want their homes fixed.
Gibson took over Rebuild NC in November after former leader Laura Hogshead led the program for years and admitted to many failures with getting families back into their homes. While Rebuild has already gone through millions of federal and state funding, Gibson says those funds have gotten more than 3,000 families in safer homes.
For the 3,200 plus families that have gotten the keys to their new homes, this has been a life-changing experience when they lost everything in the disaster.
There are still 1,150 families in the Rebuild program that are waiting for either new homes or work to be done on their storm-damaged homes. And that's why Gibson is asking for an additional $217 million.
If you see fit to give the money to complete Eastern Recovery, I will promise you and commit to you that we'll get it done if it's humanly possible.
While Rebuild is asking for more money, this committee also getting updates on the recovery efforts in Western North Carolina.
We can't afford to go through this again in the West. Something's got to change.
Lawmakers hearing from Governor Josh Stein's Helene recovery aides.
Trying to do as high quality, high volume homes as we can do to service the most people with a really robust solution.
Laying out their plans and who gets help first.
And that means that we're going to be serving the poorest of the poor in Western North Carolina first. We're going to be serving those that are disabled or elderly, have children in the home. We're going to be having to prioritize because we do not have enough funding right now if we spend every penny of that $1.4 billion to fix 10,000 homes.
So no decision from lawmakers on how much, if any, money will be given to Rebuild NC. But the leader of Rebuild NC is saying if they do not get this money, they will lose contractors who are part of the program, as there is such a need for so much work to be done, not only here in North Carolina, but throughout the U.S. I'm Troubleshooter Diane Wilson, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.